Thank you. This is the April 27th meeting, joint meeting of the Financial Oversight Committee and Special Town Council meeting. And I would like to call the Financial Oversight Committee to order.
Thank you, Jim, and I'll call the Special Town Council meeting to order.
And before we start with the school committee, I'd just like to get through the minutes and get that out of the way, and then we'll discuss the school budget. So we did get that in advance. Did anybody have any questions or corrections for the April 23rd minutes?
God bless Jackie, man, she's good.
Good job, Jack.
At everything.
No,
She did so good, she sent Amanda today.
not today.
Oh, not today.
We were talking retirement assessment. It said I was looking for figures from every community. I was not looking for figures from every community. I was looking for the additional assessment charged to East Long Meadow each year. Remember, there's a make assessment, so I was looking for that number. Not every community in Hampden County.
Right.
Where is that, Russ?
Oh, it's in there somewhere.
It's the third paragraph, the community of town budgets and not departments have got him to the individual town.
Yeah.
Yeah, third paragraph, add the number 2.
Paragraph number 2. With that correction, and can you forward that to Jackie?
Sure.
With that correction, are there any other adjustments to the minutes? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes, which will have to be roll call vote.
So moved.
Second.
All right, Kathy?
Yes.
Anna?
Yes.
Yes.
Rich?
Yes.
Jim? Yes. Okay, the minutes are approved.
Jim, do you mind if I take that for the council?
Yes, go right ahead.
Then is there a motion to approve them as amended?
Go ahead. Can I go ahead?
So moved.
Second.
Third, any other discussion? Seeing none, Ralph?
Yes.
Carolyn?
Yes.
Anna?
Yes.
I'm a yes, and Kathy?
Yes.
Thank you very much. So our first order of business on the agenda is meeting with school administration and school committee. Thank you very much for taking your time and meeting with us. Obviously, we've seen the macro part of the budget, and I know that, and I applaud, commend, whatever, all the work that you've done, you know, beforehand to bring it to where you are, and the work that you do with the town manager to make that budget kind of fit within the town's finances. But because it is such a large portion of the budget, it just seemed, and we did this last year, and it was helpful for us, suggest any changes, but it let us understand a little bit more what you're going through and what you're doing. So we wanted to take that opportunity again, and thank you for the information that you sent ahead of time. We can either do questions, or if you want to do any kind of overview comment, happy to listen to that.
Good. I mean, you want me to do an overview? Okay. Similar to last year, although with a slightly smaller deficit, we began the process with a level services budget that was somewhere around 6.24%. We knew that was something that the town was not going to be able to meet. So we started working with Tom and Kim probably in December, maybe even earlier, discussing different ways that we could strategize, move funding around, raise funds to somehow reduce that deficit closer to what the town probably could manage. That in our discussions became 3%. We also, when we submitted the level 1 budget, wanted to be sure that people understood, so this is where level services are currently. Some of that in subsequent discussions, we realized that we were, as we put back school choice money that was used this year to cover the deficit last year, and that was a much more significant deficit because you were dealing with over 8% level services and we were reducing down to 2.5%, which ultimately was the increase that the town could afford. So we had put in $450,000 of school choice money to cover that deficit, and most of that was taken out of support. So this year, we predominantly, correct me if I'm wrong, Pam, we predominantly use school choice money for our supply accounts. Now, we haven't utilized all 450,000, but we're keeping close track of that, so we know where we are and what true spending and true needs are. Somewhat of a throwback to the daily appropriations, which I know Jim and Russ will remember. When appropriations was trying to move away from balancing the budget, this was probably in my first 2 or 3 years as superintendent, using free cash. I know the school committee doesn't want to necessarily always balance the budget using school choice, and they won't have the rollover amount to do so if we continue to look at deficits as we have been.
Was that because that is not an ongoing source of revenue?
It's an ongoing source of revenue. It's not an ongoing source of revenue that generates 450,000. We had let it build up in the revolving account when we re-entered school choice, knowing that there could be an issue with either special education that was unforeseen or something else, and that would be when we would utilize that school choice money.
Jim, if I could just piggytail on that, or ponytail on that.
Piggyback.
I like the little piggytail, right?
Well, that would be cool.
In the tail and the donkey?
Glad I could bring some levity to this. Just want to remind the group that we, in order to make the 2.5 last year, we were forced to cut 20 positions, the only department in town to cut any positions last year, and that's 20 that we held through this year as well in the FTE numbers. This year, in order to get down from the 624 to the 3 that was proposed by the town manager, 6 additional positions to cut. And again, I think we're the only department in town that looking to cut positions again. So I just want folks to know that we've been severely impacted by the budget, more so than any other department. And the 624 seems high, but what we were trying to do is put things back that we had to take out the prior year. That's being curriculum renewal, which we took again this year, which we had done last year, and also we have a memorandum of understanding that we will not be reimbursing our staff for continuing education that we usually spend $650 a year for to anyone who wants to use it. We have an agreement with them to not do that again this year, which saves us another $130,000. However, it is contractually obligation, so we do still consider it level services, which is why the 624. I just wanted to explain that because it seems relatively high, but that's because we took it out the year before and we tried to put it back in, but we were not able to. So, thank you.
It's part of the, Diana?
If you like, we'll open it up to committee members and counselors.
I think I have 2 easy questions. I went through the budget completely. Why is the new and aids going up 296%? Or is that a typo?
Sorry.
Where you at, Rich?
No, we're,
On the over?
I was on the munis here. I don't know if you have that.
no, I don't have the same document that you have. Does it specifically say paraprofessional?
It's a new and aids. It was page 24.
Each percent.
Let's double check if I'm correct. 296%. Oh, sorry, that's subject to teachers, excuse me. New and aid. Yeah.
I know that Mountain View,
That's what I think is,
that
that,
Mountain View needed to add paraprofessional.
Unaids.
Thank you. Unaids, yeah.
that's what it shows Mountain View.
Yep, Mountain View, you can see the MV. Sorry, forgot that for a minute. She didn't,
Oh,
Sorry, Jamie.
piggy tail there.
Sorry, Kathy.
they used to, the staff used to be able to cover that, but existing staff, so she add in.
And I noticed the custodial supplies went up 27%. Is there a reason for that?
Custodial supplies are reflective of the economy in general. I think it's been somewhat level over time.
Yeah, and some of it could have been in the school choice revolving account this year. Most of it was the educational supplies. If you look at the educational supplies from last year to the current year, FY '26, you'll see that the budget lines were zeroed out. And I believe I did some of that for the custodial as well, to get to that dollar threshold of the $450 that someone referred to earlier.
You have other questions? You can go right ahead.
No, I don't know how I got another one on the way.
Hannah?
The FY '27 budget discussion. So professional salaries, that's 4.79. Obviously, it's probably
Administration and teachers. And
contractual and all that.
Yeah.
Other salaries went up to 6.71.
So other salaries is paraprofessionals, custodial, anyone.
Clerical.
Yeah, no, the clerical is above it.
Oh,
For
okay.
whatever reason, the categories, these were set up many years ago, so I apologize that those are the ones that are there. But, so in other, there's paraprofessionals, which we're in negotiations now with them. So I think that that's some of the driving force behind that. The custodial, anybody, employees at will that we have to have per IEP. It's a combination of all of those.
So the 6.7 isn't anybody additional, it's just
No.
increases.
In fact, no, we're down
This
a
current,
paraprofessional.
sorry.
Sorry.
Current paraprofessional contract, which is expiring basically August 30th or August 31st. We're in negotiations
No?
now.
Okay.
3 years ago, we were not competitive, and probably even our more veteran paras were making somewhere on an annual salary, somewhere between, say, 15,000 and 18,000.
Okay.
So we did have to bring that up over the course of 3 years. We think we are competitive with other paraprofessional contracts, and so we do think that we will not be at that level in this current round.
Okay.
Contract that will commence in September.
There are some items that, and it's hard because we're in negotiations right now, so I'm not going to elaborate too much, but there's some items that are being brought to our attention that we do need to take a look at and make sure that we are compensating accordingly. So some of that is taken into consideration here, knowing that.
Okay. Thanks.
And I'm sorry I'm all in black. I didn't realize I was all in black.
Russ?
So how many of your employees that are in collective bargaining agreements have steps? What percentage?
Most,
Okay.
similar to what the town has.
And the steps average how much each step?
Contract.
2, 2.5, 3?
Yes.
Yeah, I would say your paraprofessional and your clerical probably are
We only
more
have
in
a
the
couple
twos.
steps. Sorry, here's secretary steps.
Okay.
There's custodians.
Do we have the breakdown in terms of percentage?
No, I don't, I'm sorry, but I
Yeah.
could do that. It's just-
So I would say paraprofessional, clerical have been more on the average of 2, between 2 and 3. Unit A, which is the teachers' union, is a little bit all over the map. There are some areas where it's 2.5, but then there are some areas over the course of, I guess it's history, where it might be 3.75 or 4. And that may be because, not while I was superintendent, but if they added steps at some point, that changes your uniform percentages going through.
So
That can be a negotiations tactic.
Yeah.
It's actually one that has been asked of us over the course of,
So if you negotiate a cost of living at 3, and then you add another 3 on a step, it's really a 6% increase every year.
if the step they're going to. For our teachers, you actually have 70% on the top step.
Okay.
So you're negotiating generally, throughout the last 2 contracts, it's been anywhere from 65% to now 70% on that top step, because that's the 14th step.
And do they then roll into longevity?
They roll into longevity, but generally, all they're getting would be whatever the cost of living. So next year, for 70% of our teachers, it's basically 2.75%.
So I asked you the same question I'm going to ask you now about
Sure.
when I was on appropriations.
Okay.
So if you have a vacancy in a more general subject, so let's just call it history, English, something like this. How many applications, what's that?
I said it hurts a little bit. I was an English teacher.
Okay.
Teacher to your left. It's okay. We can call it more general category. I like the skilled tacticians, but
And we're both administrators.
exactly.
So if,
Communications,
so how many applicants would you get for a position?
you are correct.
And then how many would you get for special ed or math and science?
So generally, your English positions, your social studies positions will attract more applicants.
More as in 30 for every position?
We're not seeing 30 anymore. That's, if you went back 10 years, yeah, 30.
So,
Half of that.
so now it's half,
Now for those positions, we may get 20, 25. For, say, high school chemistry, which we've posted a number of times and had very few applicants. It could be anywhere from 5 to 10. Special education, depending on job description and licensure that's required, it can go anywhere from 0, which happened last summer for one of our positions, to, maybe 10, 15.
in the past, you characterized your hiring as, you wouldn't normally like hire someone right out of school. You ended up getting,
Characterized that way?
you did, you said you would get, someone who might have taught in Springfield 2, 3, 4 years, or Chicopee, and,
In terms of our applicants?
yes.
Okay. I thought you were attributing that, look at someone.
Oh, no, I would never say that.
Okay.
No, I would never say that. So are you still essentially hiring more seasoned individuals than you are?
We're seeing, we still see applicants from other school districts. However, I think our leadership team is looking at all applicants, and certainly as we look at budget challenges, it's helpful if we can hire someone who's maybe 1-2 years out of school or just finished their master's, because Massachusetts requires them to get a master's within 5 years. We always, as just a placeholder, if we have a position that we're filling for, we do put it in there as Master's 8. But what we discuss throughout the spring as we're looking to post is, let's look at the entire field of applicants and see if we can get the best candidate. In some cases, that may be someone who is fresh out of school and has some ideas that sort of mesh with where we think we're going as a district.
So then that begs this question. So is the 3% that's on the table? So I noticed in the reminder, I think it was in March or February, there was an article about some students not being at grade level and the like. I mean, how does this budget impact those kids and getting them to grade level?
It impacts all of our students.
But those specifically?
In some cases, it may impact extra support that we can bring, because it's going to impact tutoring, it's going to impact extra support. What it will end up doing, if students who are on a legally binding document, such as an IEP, they're going to get the resources, and extra resources that may be for regular education students may be sparse.
Do we have a percentage of students on special ed out of district? And has that increased? Has that maintained?
It's about the same. I would say, I didn't look at that before I came over, so I apologize, because generally I do, because it's a question that you generally will ask me. We were, as of December, down by at least 2 students, if I'm correct. However, as we go through annual review meetings, it's a constantly changing number. So we could have filled those 2 that had come back to the district. One of the goals, though, that we've been trying to accomplish the last few years is really looking at our teams, focusing on students who are out of district. When they meet and do their annual review, are we achieving goals? Can we bring them back? Because it has been somewhat of a sort of status quo that once they go out of district, obviously the team at the school where they're being educated is interested in keeping them because it's financially
Yeah.
beneficial. But we should be looking at it more objectively for what's the least restrictive environment for that student.
Can I keep going?
I got two references.
Oh, no, go ahead. Give me a break.
Just two questions, I think they're very factual. Did I understand that our LBVEC enrollment is going up at the high school level?
LPWC Career Tech is going.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
Okay, that is going,
Open it up to freshmen? Was that this year or last year?
Last year.
So that, of course, increased that many more students that would get into
So
the
that's-
earlier on.
so that's an increase to the budget that you have to deal with.
Yes,
Second question, did you increase school choice by 25 slots?
we did.
We did, okay.
And you see that money reflected in our budget right away. We're using it, put it right back in. Yep.
I give you a little bit more break.
Thank you. Thank you.
Give Kathy a chance to ask any questions she might have.
Actually, Rich covered them very nicely. I had pretty much the same questions.
Very good.
I have one.
That's, go right ahead.
First, thank you all for coming again this year. It's nice to have a quick overview presentation and all the detailed information. You had mentioned the school choice revenue, and I saw in your report that so far to date for the third quarter was 191, 144. How much would a whole year look like revenue-wise?
Is it just over 300,000?
I believe so. Yeah, a
I
little,
want to say it's just a little bit over 300,000.
yeah, I'm sorry, it's not jumping out at me.
Is it still 5,000 a student?
It is, yeah. that-
It's 5,000 as a baseline, and if a student is on an IEP in March, as part of the circuit breaker, I say that, it may be from Desi's eyes, separate from the circuit breaker, but it looks like the same mechanism. It's submitted through the portal. We submit all students who are school choice and receiving IEP services in the categories as defined by DESI. We submit the services they're receiving, and at that point, they may deem that more than 5,000 should be coming back to the district. And there was a question, I think, earlier, whether it was from the council or maybe in our discussions as we were looking at just budget development. If a school choice student is on an IEP and then ultimately has to go out of district, that funding comes from the home district, not from the LPS. So the home district needs to be invited to that team to be part of the decision-making.
Just worth mentioning, when we do choose slots for school choice, we certainly look at class sizes that are smaller than others. So we look for spots that it would make sense in terms of overwhelming class size, place them in a smaller.
You use entering classes too, like the grade 3, grade
And lower.
6, and grade 9? Huh?
Yeah. Ideally, it's the transitional years. Makes most sense for the student. We also look from the district standpoint, or to not overwhelm certain classes that are definitely bigger than others. Yeah.
Connor?
One follow-up question.
Sure.
So each year when I look at the stage cherry sheets that come out, usually the assessments that the town gets charged for students that we're sending out to other districts continues to increase. So is there a reason that we wouldn't expend all of this incoming school choice revenue? Knowing that
We are saving some of it. We'll roll over some of this choice.
So I know, but why would we save it instead of using it to offset how much we're getting charged?
Because we've had to dip into it, right, like we did last year. And so when we first started with school choice, our intention was never to use it in the operating budget, right? Because once you start using an operating budget to fund the budget, then you're stuck with it. You have to continue it because there's no way to make up those funds other ways. Well, we're here now, right? So we have to inject those monies into the operating budget, right? But they were not always meant for that.
Right, and school choice is an account that comes to the school department. It's like a Medicaid reimbursement, even though that's money generated from the schools, that legally goes to the town into a revolving account under the town. So I think, just as Mr. Thompson said, we didn't have school choice for a number of years, like 13, 15 years, and they just started it, school committee voted it in, I think, 2021, 20?
At least,
Right
yeah.
around COVID.
Yeah.
So we knew that would be a place that we would be able to gain programming, like if we want to start a new program, we talk about special ed and like wanting to do things in-house. So it was a good resource for us to be able to start to build, and thank goodness we did, because we really needed it, especially last year and this year.
And if you look at it conversely, if we did use all the funds that we took in from school choice, then we would lock in any future school committee to getting that many school choice students every year, right? So anything that we would lose, we'd have to replace every year. And what we don't want to do is tie the future school committees to commit to school choice for whatever reason. You know, we did it 20 years ago and we stopped doing it for 10 years and then we're back in it, so.
Or have to rely on those funds for our budget.
Connor, more questions?
No, that's all I had.
Russ, you want to keep going now?
Can I ask a quick question about
yes,
school choice?
absolutely.
How, if you were to guesstimate, because I think you guys had stated that you get reimbursed 5,000 per student per year?
Base amount, yeah, and then there's a special ed component on top of that.
I'm sure there's a number, or if you guys could just guesstimate, like how much, what does it cost to educate a child like per year? Are we losing?
So back to my point about the number of classes, students in the class, right, in the 140 or whatever the class size is, right? By adding a school choice student to a classroom, there's no additional cost, maybe the paper and some pencils, right? But we're not adding any additional staff for these people, for these students, right? So any school choice student we take in, there should be no additional cost. It should be mostly revenue. Yes, there's some side costs, but it's not a, here's how much it costs us to educate a student in East Long Meadow, so this is how much more it's going to cost if we take another student in. Is that make sense?
So, yes, I know what you're saying. I don't necessarily know if I agree with that.
Okay.
And that's why I'm asking the question, like, how much, like, I don't know if there's studies done. I'm sure there is. Like, is there like a general amount?
Per pupil cost.
Yeah.
Per pupil is.
But that's our budget
sent that
divided by the
information.
number of students, right?
Right.
That's how you get a per pupil.
I guess I didn't see that. Where, do we have that?
And 40.
It's in the,
It's right in Gordon's presentation.
This is the presentation.
20,000.
Okay.
So that's just,
I
that's
understand.
the total budget divided by the number of students, right? So actually, if you add school choice students, that number will go down.
Because you're adding more.
The budget stays the same, the number of students
not-
increases, the per pupil cost will decrease, actually, if you add students,
So
generally speaking.
when the state calculates that number, they don't include school choice in it. So the number of school choice students we have, they calculate separately, that they don't calculate. So
So it's
the way that-
actually the budget divided by the number of students,
No, it is.
it's the,
no.
it's the way the state,
Our students.
because
it's
they
EL,
don't include
EL students, yes.
school choice
Do we
students.
include the students we send out, though?
They do in the
School
cherry sheet. I think that's what Connor was getting at.
We just passed we just got to the point where we're taking in more than we're sending out last year. So the revenue that 5,000 we were
yes.
sending away now is coming in with different.
I totally understand everything that you're saying, but like, in my brain, I keep thinking it costs $20,000 to educate a child, and we only get 5. I'm not saying don't do school choice. I'm just trying to,
Right?
No,
So
it's-
think
it's-
about it.
I get it, I get it.
20, right? And you add one student
Yes,
to it.
I understand what you're
there's no
saying.
additional cost.
I understand what you're saying,
Okay.
but it also says 20,000 per pupil. Do you see what I'm saying? There's two ways of looking at it.
Right,
I-
but if we take 5 more students in, right, it's not costing the district.
Yes,
or-
I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying, but I also,
Are you saying that since a big portion of our budget is personnel, and a big portion of that pure pupil is personnel because it's a portion of our budget, if we're bringing in kids and not hiring new personnel, then it's a net gain?
Right.
I understand what he's saying.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah.
1,000%, I understand what he's saying, but I also, but
That's what's happening, though.
I understand, 1,000%, I understand that, but it also, like, if you're looking at this, it also costs $20,000 per pupil to educate. Is that correct?
Yes.
How desperate.
Okay.
Not the school choice students.
I understand.
It costs us nothing. How about that, Anna? It costs us nothing to do the school choice ones.
Okay,
Just to be clear,
Yeah, it's-
transportation is on them, like we do not.
yes, I understand.
But I
Okay.
guess what Anna, Commander, I think what I'm hearing from Anna is the contradiction, we're getting 5,000, Yet our residents are paying 20,000 for a student to go there, correct? That
No,
kind of-
this is the wrong way to look at it, though. That's not how you do it. So
Yeah, no, you're-
total budget
Yeah.
divided by the number of students
I
in
get-
supplemental sets the per pupil cost of $20,000.
I get it.
That number stays. Then we add these 25 more students in.
Right.
None of the numbers change.
Give us
other than
money, that's what we're saying. The state should be giving us more money.
We would agree with that.
We would agree.
Yeah.
I think everybody can agree with that.
What do we talk about that, Rich, right?
I think we've gotten that one.
It's akin to
So,
essentially the,
Wait, Connor's, sorry.
oh, go ahead.
it's kind of akin to the town's tax rate where like it has gone down over the last few years, but it's not because people are paying less in taxes. It's just because there may be more people contributing to the rising cost of valuations.
It does present.
It's a little different.
Oxymoron.
It's a little
Yeah.
different, but it's very similar in that it's.
Yes, it's a function of math.
Okay, Ralph, you had a question?
Question. So it says currently there's 51 students on school choice. You're looking to add 25 more. That'll bring us up to 76. At 5,000, that brings the budget up to about 380,000, not included anyone on IEPs or anything. My question is, going forwards, 76 students is a lot of additional students. Are we projecting that that's going to be basically a cap on it? Or, I mean, at what point do we stop choice?
I can't speak for future school committees. I think Mr. Thompson.
I can speak for future. Not that I'll be on them. Not to tie anyone's hands.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think we're close to where we should be, in my opinion, and we've had this conversation as committee. I think if financial situations don't improve, then future school committees are going to continue to look at it because it's a source of revenue, as long as it doesn't impact the education of the rest of the students. But to your point, I think the number we're at is more than we ever really wanted to get to. So to go to more is unlikely, but not to say that it won't happen. Yeah.
And I guess, and I do understand what you're saying, if you've got one other student in, but from the teacher's point of view, instead of having, let's say, 18 students in her class, now she's teaching 20. So her time is stretched thinner and thinner, and at what point is there a breaking point? And that's what I was looking for. I'm sure the school committees also talked about it.
The enrollment was down 113 students this year.
And there's optimal class sizes for each grade level. As you get bigger, as you get older, those class sizes optimally get larger, right? So we try not to overwhelm, the smaller, but we put them in the small ones for that reason, yeah.
Thank
And
you.
we always
Do you have another question?
The
That was
class
mine.
sizes.
Yeah.
If the class sizes, we can't put kids there, we're not gonna put kids there.
The class sizes are already at.
So. Correct.
That's what I had heard in the past, that the class sizes, a lot of them are at pretty much max, and
In those, we
what are we
try
going
not
to
to
be
add.
doing?
Yeah,
And
right.
Before we return to Russ, Marilyn, did you have any specific
All set,
question?
thank you.
Okay, Mr. Denver, you want to continue?
All right, I'll ask one, then you ask next.
Okay.
So I think Jim might have sent over this morning a list of items that we were looking for additional information on. All the special accounts, how much was in each one, what was expended from each of the special accounts over the last 3 years. So we're going to get that.
You will. There was a little confusion when you said special accounts. Were you referring to special ed accounts?
No.
Or were you referring to revolving accounts?
Revolving accounts, yeah, revolving accounts.
That wasn't clear to me, and I'm sorry. I had meetings today and some other things.
Which kind of
We just literally moved from one facility to another.
Yes.
So we're all still getting organized, so thank you.
Just want balances, Russ, that we look for.
Balances and expenditures.
There's a ton of activity, though, through this.
I know.
Like,
The last time I was on this committee a couple of years ago, we were all very pleasantly surprised at what you were purchasing out of the different accounts. And the discussion was, no one knew you were doing all of that. And I think your comment was, well, if you watch some of our school committee meetings, you would know. It would be kind of interesting to see that. But it brings me to the question on, it's my understanding, and I say that in case I'm wrong, that now there's free breakfast and lunch for each child. So how does that?
Not free breakfast.
Okay, but it's free
In some
lunch
cases, you have.
for everybody. So does that
There's free lunch, universal free lunch.
Yeah, does that impact the amount of money in the cafeteria account?
It's,
Well, it's a
Good question.
different revenue source. We still get revenue per student, and Lori Paul, our food service director, still has to track students as to the type they are, whether they would have been free or would have been a paid. I know it sounds silly, but she does have to track that, and there's a different amount of revenue that she gets for her separate,
That's supplemented by the state, right?
correct, yes.
Correct.
State
So
and-
when they went to free lunch, the state increased
Yep.
funding.
Right.
So it doesn't cost the district more, the revenue just comes from the state instead of the students.
Okay,
And actually, food services is separate from our operational budget. They're self-sustaining.
okay, good.
So I thought in your quarterly report, it had indicated that breakfast and lunch remain free for all students. Is that?
Breakfast, lunch does remain free for all students. Breakfast is a combination. You have some students who qualify for free breakfast. You have some students who pay for breakfast.
So if I misspoke there, I'll double check on that for you, because I really did think that they were all
Oh, okay, all right.
put out from Lori.
And does the reimbursement from the state cover the entire cost or just a portion?
It covers the universal free lunch to a point.
Yeah.
It doesn't cover your à la carte menu, which is where a lot of our students, especially in the later grades, go to.
Okay,
That's still revenue coming in.
Yeah, they, yeah.
okay.
Yes, see, I wrote it in my,
But you have to
I said, remember.
purchase that-
So for school choice, we should stay away from like teenage boys because that.
You only get one lunch, so.
Oh, that's true, okay.
You gotta buy the second one.
They still buy the lunch.
Yeah.
So is that your question that you then wanted to pop over to Mr. Fricaro?
No, there's another question he wants.
All right, go ahead.
I got a couple more.
Little taken aback on the transportation cost. It's going from 3.3 to 11.6.
That's a projected, in
Right.
terms of what we're spending this year. We obviously haven't finished the year.
Right.
But transportation costs have not been as, regulated is a good word, I would just say monitored. They've been allowed to increase, and especially specialized transportation, there seems to be no cap to how high they can go, and they can then, let's say you have contracted with a company, and that's working, at least from the district standpoint, well, you can enter into the summer, or worse, be exiting a summer thinking you have that transportation to go, and they can, which has happened to us. And then you're looking around because it's transportation that you need to deliver.
Students still pay to ride the bus.
Right.
And the fee is $2.70, $1.50 a day.
It was 270, I was principal back 15 years ago.
Yeah, well, yeah.
270?
I think we've gone up, no?
No,
Oh,
no school.
Yeah,
And then we
actually-
cap it at
we capped it.
two
Talked
two students per family too. So you only pay up to $540 and then rest ride. Yeah.
As someone alluded, the transportation, I forgot who was saying it, might have been you, Tom, there was a lot of busing a lot of parent drop-off instead of buses. We are going to be down one bus next year. We're reducing one bus.
Our lines are full.
Follow-up to that.
Oh, go ahead. Yep.
Of course, years ago, the town used to operate its own busing. Would you say that given like the number of car line students as opposed to the number of buses that were out, even in light of these higher increase in transportation costs, is it still a net benefit for the town to not be doing it, or is that math changed now?
I mean, we haven't
Yeah, it's a
dove
hot-
into it, but I would say, Connor, that one of the biggest benefits to the town is we don't have the employees on the payroll.
Correct.
Not only now, in terms of benefits that we'd have to pay out or the uncertainty of them, but also retirement benefits. So when we decided collectively to do it, that was a big portion of it.
You also don't have a fleet of buses that you own, and every year
maintain.
who's on capital planning, where
We had discussion every
a
year.
lot about that. I had at least one, if not two buses on our capital plan every year.
Oh, that,
Always received one or two every year.
That's the way the capital cookie.
Mr. Denver?
well, that led, he just gave me a great segue right into,
I'm here for you, Russ.
so your summary of five-year capital plan. So we have this kind of in front of us. I guess, question is, looking down the road, what's the next school that will need major improvements? And/or what is next school that you might need a whole new school? And are there things in the capital plan that could help prolong the life of some of those?
I would say that actually the school committee has done a really good job of doing exactly what you said at the end there, which is how do we prolong the life of the schools we have? Currently, some of the things that have helped us, well, one, I'll put a plug in just for our DPW, they're phenomenal. And they've kept certain things going for far longer than they should be going. Case in point would be the modular classrooms that are just now being replaced at Mountain View. Their life expectancy was finished when I started as a superintendent 16 years ago. And we kept them going, well, with my hammer, but it offered. DPW was able to keep them going well into really 2022, I think, 2023. We stopped really using them probably in the 24-25 school year, and this year we're finally able to replace them. But all of our buildings over the years have received some type of capital improvement. And just this year, with the town's help and MSBA's help, Maple Shade will get an entire roof replacement. And so we're going to be in their accelerated repair program, which takes care of roofs, windows and doors, and boilers. So that would be a good way to continue to go. Meadowbrook has received new windows and doors and a new roof, which has been phenomenal. So that school's in good shape.
So just a guess, crystal ball, 10 years down the road, no school replacement? I can't hold you to it.
Yeah, I won't be there 10 years down the road, but.
There's even if we.
And yeah, I mean, Russ, we've talked about some reconfiguration in terms of class alignment, which is a long way off, I think. So that could change things. Just to kind of answer your question, probably Maple Shade would be the most in need of either repair or renovation. As Gordon alluded to, we're doing the roof this year. And the school committee had a lengthy discussion on, well, should we do the roof? Because if you go with MSBA, then you have to commit to 20 years?
20 years.
20 years with the building, or if not, then you have to pay back a portion of that based on how many years you've gone through, which we figured, well, if it's 15 years and we decide on a Maple Shade project or a combination, and that again would be a future school committee, then that would be where you were looking. But other than that, like Gordon said, the buildings are in relatively good shape. Certainly the brand new high school is going to help us. We're going to use that a ton. Birchland, we just did a lot of the roof on that, and you know, it's hard to believe it's 26 years old already as our now newest building. But we're in decent shape. I mean, could we use newer and better? Yeah, but we're doing pretty good. And thankfully, because capital has invested and we've sent money on them, yeah.
So I walk Maple Shade every morning, and the drop off at Maple Shade is a thing of wonder.
Yeah.
Let me tell you. It's just.
Probably one of our.
And there's a teacher that stands there and greets every single kid, and he knows every kid's name. It's just wonderful. Really, really cool. So
It's a great way to start the day.
yeah. So just because this is what I do, I looked at your Unit A contract, and I saw something in there that I don't remember seeing in the past. And that's the last year 7.5% increase if they give a 12-month notice.
I don't know about a 7.5% increase, but there is a 12-month notice retirement bonus.
There's something at
Okay.
the bottom about
So
stipends, like coaching.
when was that added?
So that we did look at, the oldest contract we have in our files, which have been jumbled a little bit over the last week, was 1994. And so there was a retirement benefit clause if they gave 12 months notice back in 1994. Now, whether the formula has been tweaked over time, that I don't know.
And Pam, did you say the 7.5% was on stipends? So
7%, it's, I believe it's
coaching,
at the bottom of the,
outside their regular salary.
it's the 3 years of like, if they did coaching and they get a stipend for that, they get 7% of that total added to the formula for retirement.
Instead of 100%.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Can I just ask one last question? I promise it's my last
On
one.
a roll here for
I am on a roll. So I mean, I think you mentioned, personnel is your largest expense every year. So if you've got increases of 479, 287, 671, et cetera, and how long is that sustainable, those numbers? And then what happens?
Yeah, it's
So-
something that is cyclical, I think, when you think about negotiations, because you have the history in terms of contract negotiations and meeting with us as a member of appropriations. There were a number of years in the middle of my tenure, and this is my 16th year, where increases for Unit A were 1.75%, 2%. It was only in the last really two contracts where they edged up, and finally in this final contract that has its third year for next year, it actually hit 3% again. Where I think in the earlier 2000s, not 2008, but I think all things crashed at that point, if I remember correctly. 3% was much more the norm. But it definitely trended downward. I can speak to that because I know my contract trended downward as I negotiated subsequent contracts. But in the last few years, as we were leaving COVID, then it started to move up. And as you know, because I think you've participated in negotiations, you have to be fair and open. And, when they're presenting a history of increases of 1.75%.
I am not saying you're not being fair.
Yeah, no,
No, sir.
nor was I saying, I'm just giving
That. I'm just looking at the numbers.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so you're right. And so one of the things that I think ELPS does really well is they work collaboratively with the different units. We have very good relationships, and so hard, but we can say, listen, one of the things we can say, in the next negotiations meeting, we just met with the Financial Oversight Committee, and they're not sure that we're gonna, it's mostly Mr. Ficero's fault, but that we're gonna be able to afford this. But basically, they do understand and they are aware and watch sort of where we are in the budget process, what's going on with other costs and so forth. With that said, I can't turn to any one specific unit or one individual contract and say, because inflation is going up or transportation is going up maybe 11%, I really can only offer you 1%. We still have to get there in an open negotiation.
You have to take care of your people.
Well, yeah, but you're just running up against a limit.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
And what happens?
Right.
I think that's kind of what I'm.
Get into these discussions.
Yeah.
But how do you, Russ, and I don't know if you have an idea, but how do you get away from
I
these
have
steps?
no ideas. I only ask.
Right? But I was just saying, the steps allow us to pay sometimes less. Without the steps, you'd have to pay everyone the top amount, right?
So philosophically, I don't know, and you might know because you're in this industry, is there a real difference between a third-year teacher and a fourth-year teacher? Or a seventh-year teacher and an eighth-year teacher? And can you skip a year or two? There are other communities that do it. They're out there, I'm just not saying, I've been pointing out as much as I can to this group, all the little extras that are in different contracts in the town. And then those are the things that really add up over a course of time. And so do you need to say, okay, we can't do this anymore because if we've given a $10,000 bonus to a fireman who left after so many years, is that $100,000 over 6 years? And could that 100,000 be used somewhere else? I mean, I'm just making up numbers as we go. And so those are the things that you try to be as creative as possible. And I'm sure you do your homework. I don't worry about you, Gordon. I know you've done a fabulous job. So, but I worry about all of a sudden you hit the cliff.
Yeah.
So.
No, it keeps me.
And it's a question not just for education.
No.
It's a question for the town overall.
Yep.
Because, contracts outside of education have those step increases. So you got step increases, you got merit increases, you got educational benefit pop-ups. And so the typical increase is higher than normal. So you have a engine that runs faster than, and less ability to control it. Whereas in the, private industry, at least if it's non-union, they deal with that. Plus, we have the health insurance benefits that then go on with the retirement. We have retirement benefits that then go on. So it's an engine that is, at some point, it's going to catch up to us.
Now I promise to zip my lip and not ask another question.
Other questions, Russ?
No.
Okay.
No.
Did I just add something to?
Yes.
Russ, you were asking earlier about the different steps. I just wanted to be clear that on the secretaries, they only have 3 steps.
Yeah. I was looking at the teacher's contract, that's what I was doing.
Yeah, it's the teachers, and even custodians, they just have 2 steps. And
2 points, if I could, real quick. I know in the last meeting, I had a question about one of our capital projects at Meadowbrook in terms of the paving. If you had that map with the shaded areas, all those shaded areas are going to be paved. So what we're doing is actually getting more parking spaces where the grass is. I think you might have asked the question, Ralph.
Yeah, I only saw, the sheet that I got only had 2 spots and it looked like they were.
The 2 off of Parker are those 2 grass areas off Parker, and 1 of the grass areas off of Porter are turning to asphalt. The second thing I just wanted to bring up is I saw that the electrical, budget for electricity for the high school has been cut out of this budget. And I know we have the funds from the green energy, but I just want to put it out there that that's going to have to be put back in the budget, right, in a couple of years. And that'll be a huge increase, but I just want to make sure that everybody sees that it's a function of just paying with what the money we have instead of this huge cost for our new school, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, so we're going to incrementally get it in the budget.
Okay, great.
Using the fund.
I just didn't want it to look like all of a sudden we have this explosive energy cost, but okay, awesome.
We would if you didn't have the rebates.
Right.
I think the way I understand Tom's strategy is to use that rebate total over a course of a few years so that the increase is more on a, regularized basis as opposed to one big, huge.
And our
Either one low and then the huge pop or.
then our PV should come online in a year or 2.
I was going to say, especially during the first.
No.
Okay, all right.
I was agreeing with you.
Jim, I have a quick question. As far as the school goes, obviously everyone's seen South Hadley and that their override got voted down. I think the reason it goes to the school is because obviously you're the largest portion of the budget. At some point in time, if we project out 5, 6, 7 years, it looks like we're going to be running up and against that. Have you guys done any long-range planning in case we get there and we don't get an override or something? Like you had talked about a few years ago, the financial cliff. The more you look at it, at some point it's coming. You can only sustain it.
Why is it coming though, Ralph? I don't know where what's coming
Well, at
from.
Prop 2.5 and expanded growth, there's only so much additional revenue coming in.
Slowing growth.
But the problem is expenses keep climbing. So at some point, you get to that where the two don't match. And you've exhausted most of, all the little things like Russ was talking about, well, we've grabbed this out of this and this out of that. And I think that's what happened to South Hadley, and they're looking at $9 million, and that's a lot of money for 1 year, and I don't know where they're coming up with it. I wouldn't want to be in that seat. But I think it's something where we try and look out over a 5 or 10-year plan, and I don't know if the school committee's looked at any of that. I know, at least among some of us, we've talked about, well, where would the cuts even come from,
And that's the biggest challenge, is identifying where are you going to cut? So what we've been doing is,
it's scary.
well, yeah.
To look at it.
And being scared.
South Hadley, $9 or $11 million override in order to.
I think things are cyclical and unpredictable. What I found over my time in this seat, that it's hard to project what it's going to look like in 5 years for all of us, right? Not only revenue, but expenses. So, we've tried our best to prevent those financial cliffs, right? We've looked at that every year. So, I guess that's the best we can do collectively.
So, thank you. I will say this, when I look through the presentation, the quarterly report, et cetera, I realize how how many things are involved with your, with your budget and with running the schools is kind of mind-blowing in I mean, it's like a whole nother specialty to understand and all the various grants and revolving funds that add to your spending, looks like it's over $4 million of additional revenue that you manage, et cetera. And when I look at substantial progress towards targets, I don't know if those questions about, feeling welcome at school, whether those are questions that you're made to ask as part of that, or
It's actually, those are questions we want.
you came up with?
One of the things that we want to make sure that all of our buildings have is a climate where all students feel welcome and that they belong and they can be.
Right, I'm glad to hear that they were your questions and not something that the state was telling you to ask.
No, but the research shows that the more kids feel like they belong and they feel safe in the classroom, the better they do academically.
Right. Good.
So.
Good. My only other question was in enrollment. You had mentioned that between this year and the last, it was down 115. How has the enrollment?
For the last few
that
years,
kind of the
we have
period of 25 through.
You hadn't finished your question.
Yeah, go ahead.
The last few years, I would say the last 5 years, we have declined slightly each year. And interestingly enough, you had asked, do we do any kind of projection? We work with NESDEC, the New England, School Council Development Council, Educational Health, anyway, NESDEC. And interestingly, I'm attributing it, they didn't put this in their response this year, but I'm attributing it to the high school. They see in the next 3 years, our grades 6 through 8 enrollment climbing, 6 through 12 climbing, and our elementary grades either staying flat or declining. The one thing that we knew, because we also work with the town on the census in terms of getting that information, birth rate's down. Over the last 10 years, birth rate has averaged about 8 fewer births. And it definitely hit, I would have predicted the other way, but this was the first kindergarten class from pandemic. I would have predicted that might have been a spike, and it actually was a decrease.
So capacity-wise or whatnot, you're fine because the enrollments are not pressing you at all.
Right. And actually, the new high school is not, the old high school, which we're currently in, was designed probably for over 1,000 students. MSBA would not fund duplicating that. So this one's designed for somewhere in the middle 800s.
So can you identify, you mentioned the income, can you identify where those 113 kids went? Like, did they go to private school? Did they?
It's a combination.
Yeah.
Do I know where all 113 went? No, but what I do know is that.
How many kids from East Long Meadow do school choice elsewhere?
I think it's something like
40 something? 48.
48.
Okay.
A lot go to, they also do charter schools. So they might do Pioneer Valley Charter School for the dramatic arts, Pioneer Valley.
For performing arts.
Performing arts, thank you.
Chinese.
They also in the Chinese immersion. Interestingly, I was going there.
Oh, sorry.
Next, we have school choice in a variety of school systems around us, more than when I was looking into it. I knew we had school choice to Long Meadow, and we have some school choice to Hampton Wilbraham, but we have school choice to Munson, and we have school choice, I believe, to Chicopee, and other school districts.
How many kids go to Pope Francis every year?
I was gonna say a lot of it, it's
A good
parochial.
number. Yeah. I don't have the exact number, but then also what we're seeing, sorry, and this is where Pam was going, we're seeing an increase of students. There are 2 accredited online academies that DESE looks at as official public schools. One's called the Greater Commonwealth Academy, and it's out of Greenfield, and the other one is called TECA Academy. Actually, I'm not sure where that's located, but we seem to lose more to TECA than we do to Greenfield. And students can apply, get in, and it's actually more than choice. Not $5,000, it's $12,000. So much so that the school committee were allowed to look at that last year, and the school committee did vote in a cap of 2% of your entire enrollment would be the cap. If you reach 2%, then that's as many students as.
For the online school.
Oh, thank you.
And just to connect back what you were saying about belonging, a lot of times the kids that are going to these online schools are going because they don't feel like they belong in those schools, right? So we really want to improve that so that we're not losing kids.
And we're hopeful the new high school will keep students in the district. I mean, it's a big drastic change, so that may change people that leave for different, newer, nicer high school, yeah. We're gonna have the nicest one around, so.
Any other questions for
I have one.
on education? Yeah, go ahead, Connie.
I know the last couple of years, you had mentioned that special education was an especially difficult thing with different situations that you had. Would you say that that is not so much the case this year and projected moving forward, or is that kind of subtle?
Talking out of district tuitions specifically?
Yeah,
or-
like the high increases that you had with those.
I would say, sorry.
No, you can go ahead.
I would say that the challenges are still there. I think we're identifying them faster and working through them better. But I wouldn't say that it's no longer a challenge. No, I think the students, whether they end up being on an IEP or a 504, or they're just in the regular ed class, students are coming to us with far different needs. And we saw students coming to school 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and certainly 16 years ago when I started.
That's why I know.
Percentage of the school-age population with disabilities has steadily increased, not just in Massachusetts, but nationally.
What is different is that last year, for this current budget that we're in, FY26, we budgeted accordingly to what we needed, which was some of the bigger issues with, contracted services were up substantially, and the out-of-district tuition. So now we're budgeted better, if that makes sense.
That's great.
There was one other question that had come up when we were reviewing the insurances, part of the town budget, and it was workers' comp, which was showing a pretty big bump. And the way Tom explained it, much of it was coming, that increase was coming out of the school system. Is that something you're familiar with, or?
Certainly familiar with staff members who unfortunately have gotten injured and end up on workman's comp. I can't speak to necessarily that we were the sole cause for the increase, but.
Maybe not the sole cause, right?
Yeah, but what I can.
This is the biggest increase that we've seen.
Yeah.
It's usually DPW and school departments anyways, right? That cause them.
So what I can speak to is, what I was just saying is that students arrive to school with far different needs than they've arrived in the past. And if we're going to, and I think we should, be managing students in the home district, it's taking skill sets that are far different. And so we need to continue to evolve as a staff. But unfortunately, behavior is far different than what we've seen, at least.
Kids' behavior.
And kids' behavior and sort of unpredictability. There's a lot of these things where people get hurt. It's something that's spontaneous in terms of depending on how close you may get to a student, and if the student is dysregulated and then moves ahead quickly, that could end up being broken nose, concussion, and so forth.
So I'll clarify to say that that's just the data point, not that the school is doing anything wrong.
No.
I want to make sure there was a bit of a negative connotation there, but that's just the data point that they've shown.
And behavior in terms of what you're, experiencing versus what you might have experienced 5 or 10 years ago.
Correct. And so, I mean, that that's a thread that actually goes through this entire discussion. As you were talking about, or we were talking about, or at least I brought up, paraprofessional contract. They're a huge part in how we support students. Bringing them to a more competitive contract and wage over the last 3 years was imperative, because we were not filling roles. And the job we're asking them to do is far different than the job we asked them to do, 10 years ago. And it involves constant retraining to deal with different dynamics that students are presenting.
Wow. Different world from when I went to school, that's for sure.
It is.
Any other questions for the schools? Hearing none, any questions you have for us, or?
Were you thinking maybe 4 or 5%? I was kind of feeling that from.
If not, I will just say on behalf of all of us, thank you so much for coming and talking it through for us and giving us a chance to ask our questions. Appreciate it.
We always appreciate the time to talk about what we do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If you want, I can come back next year.
Donna coming?
You guys, all right, I love that. I love that. We're gonna have a standing meeting.
Yeah, 3 o'clock. Bring it up.
Guys will be here the rest of the evening if we want to come say hi.
No, not that one. Ralph's, Frank's office, the high school office.
I'll find
Out front.
Reminding me about
On the.
I just didn't want to, yeah.
And I kind of peppered them.
It's okay.
It's okay, it's good.
That's what we're here for.
Oh.
Exactly. No?
I feel like.
Amazing what.
You would. Not gonna be a loss. I hit, because I'm so somewhat attacked, I hit a horrible squeeze ball.
For you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Gordon.
Thank you, Gordon.
Hey, how are the new offices?
You were
Good. How are the new offices?
over at Carter Monday?
Yeah.
Great, building games.
Throw you guys on the line. Could be production line. Yeah, we need an extra hand.
So you thought 4:30?
Yeah.
Crazy, huh? I didn't think we'd
Yeah.
have that much time.
That's good. We need. Playing card.
Are we still being?
On the years on appropriations to here,
We did have these
so much.
couple edition years there. We should bring that back.
We probably should have brought it back to put it in the time capsule.
Yeah,
That was, yeah, Russ.
or the 250.
So
That would have been cool.
it is 4:36. We've all listened to we've seen the school budget. We've all listened to the discussion. Question for you, do you want to have a chance to absorb it and come back Monday?
Yeah, when are we together?
Is it next Monday?
I don't remember.
Next Monday to vote on the budget, or do you feel comfortable on the budget as it is now? Or we can, you want to put it on the agenda for Monday?
I'd like to get the information we requested, just so that we have a complete picture.
All right.
That's all. I
So-
don't have any issues.
No.
But I would just like to have all the information.
We'll make it an agenda item for 5-4.
Okay.
So we left off our 423 meeting, still enmeshed in the capital.
Correct.
Yeah.
And
I did get some running around today.
okay.
Get a lot of that
So
information.
I'd like to see if we can, because what we've got on us is capital budget and then the revolving funds and enterprise funds.
Yep.
And we have one certain meeting left, 5-4. My guess is we're probably gonna need that 5-7 meeting, but depending on where we get. But let's see if we can get through the capital and vote on that. And see if we have time to get through any of the revolving funds and enterprise funds. I will upfront say I need to stop the meeting at 5:20 because I have another meeting at 5:30.
I need to stop the meeting at 5:15 for the Zoom account.
Oh,
So this,
well, there you go.
I mean, unless they go long, but.
So you have to stop recording us at 5:15. All right.
You're all set, Jim. It's not your fault.
Yeah, I'll have plenty of time for the next meeting. All right. So why don't we move back to there was some questions
Can't even see this.
and we had a question on the fire station parking lot, the dump truck, in terms of the dump truck and the contingency. And what else do we have?
At the Meadowbrook parking lot project, have down. And I thought Connor asked about the police cruisers.
Yep, there was a Denslow question, there was the I&I question, water main.
Right.
Compliance, and then the Spade Ardent one as well, I think, which I tried to get to most of them today. I was off last week, and I tried my best to take the whole week off.
Contract.
I've already taken my obligated week off.
It's only April.
Fiscal, I'm a fiscal.
Oh, you're a fiscal, okay, all right, then that's fine.
So the parking lot for the fire station, the higher number was the number. And Mark's still looking into it because there's quite a bit of permitting that's gonna have to happen through DEP. And so right now, it's the whole parking lot, but based on our conversation this morning, there may be some things that we're not going to be able to do based on what DEP is going to require us to do. Again, we've had this conversation. There is a lot of settling that has happened with the organic material underneath the site. And yes, it needs to get paved. We have $1 million of equipment running in and out of there 20 times a day. So we're going to need to pave. The question is, to the limits of this pavement. And like Ralph pointed out, is that fabric going to work in this application? And I think we need to get a better answer from DEP in terms of what they're even going to allow under the permit. If we can't compact, I mean, I don't know if you've seen that parking lot, but there is a crater in one of the parking areas that's 15 inches deep. And it's been filled already. And so we're going to have a further conversation with DEP about what the limits of this pavement are going to be. Ergo, this price tag could change. This is based on the conversation that I had with Mark this morning.
So the price tag could go up?
I don't think it will go up, Jim. I think we'll pave $250,000 worth of the parking lot. Like I said, at minimum, we got to figure out a way to pave in front of, like the front of the building where we've got the fire trucks coming in and out of the garage, and then the parking area on the side.
So the request then, the need is there and something needs to be done this year?
The need has been there for 8 years, obviously.
I've been on that, yeah. The question then is, what's proposed specifically may not be.
Correct.
What works and what's allowed. So you may have to change what you're doing, but to the degree that the 250 goes towards the parking lot, you may have some part that is not paved.
That's just the mathematics of it, yes. Because it's sounding like in some of these areas, we're going to do far more work than we planned on doing. And the permitting piece at this point tends to get a little more expensive than you want it to. And everything we talk about up in that area, whether it's the transfer station, police, fire, DEP is all over us for everything. And all those applications cost money and usually end up with some sort of engineering design. I feel like I have more questions now than I did yesterday or Thursday.
It's more like money towards paving the.
Which I don't, now I'm not so excited about, right? Here's a problem that we know we need to fix. And so I think maybe it's sort of behooves us to figure out what that number and the project parameters look like, say before the like budget hearing, right? Like we need to figure out a little bit more information before we say that this 250,000 on the capital plan is going to pave the entire parking lot and everything is going to be fine for 20 years. Because that won't be the case. It's just not the case.
Questions?
So just thinking down the road, we've talked about a safety complex.
Yep. Well, some people have.
It's been talked about, obviously, we need a new police station. Is that gonna affect, If we pave the whole parking lot, are we gonna be digging it up in 5 years to put a police station attached to it? Or, like I said, I hate to throw money away.
Me too.
You're correct. I mean, in front of those doors and all, I know they've been repaired. It's gotta be done. It keeps sinking. You've got heavy equipment in and out.
My problem is, and this is gonna, now this will just open up a whole other can of worms. Do you want to put a multi-million-dollar building on that site?
It all depends on the reason it's sinking.
Well,
We know
again,
it's sinking.
there was a reason that spot was picked. For, the building is the only thing that's not sinking, thankfully.
Well, that's where the test borings were done.
That is right, right. So, and they probably put pilings in and footings, and so it's structurally sound, but we might not even have that option on that site. Nor would I, quite frankly, feel comfortable spending what we pay per square foot now to put up a building. I mean, that's a $35-40 million building, brand new. And that's a tough ask on that site.
Barn.
Yeah, well, like a loft, like a hay loft.
So Tom, are you proposing you're gonna mess with this article in terms of what you would want to have proposed for the budget?
I think we really need that answer from DEP on what these added costs might look like before we even know how far $250,000 is going to go on that site. And if it's too far, then maybe this gets shrunk down to the point where we're just paving in front of the bays and maybe fix the big hole in the parking lot and sort of see where we end up.
So for me, that sounds reasonable. Does that?
To me, though.
Yeah, I'm okay.
I mean, we won't have a number to quote unquote approve, but I'd rather you take the time and figure out what really needs to be done rather than.
Yeah, I think like we talked about before, it doesn't make sense for us to just throw an undetermined amount of money at it until we know what it costs.
We're stopping doing that, right? Yeah.
So Ralph, you had a question on the dump truck, the contingency of 20%, I believe.
Yeah, so they did say that this is the number that they're carrying with these bigger vehicles at this point, based on price fluctuations, and I think tariffs was used, and again, this quote they got. If we didn't think that we wanted to carry that much contingency, and the price came in at a 10% or no percent, then we're good. If it comes in over, well, then we'd have to find some other appropriation, which isn't terrible if you didn't want to budget it. It's really, they're saying yes, that this is how they want to carry these numbers, but if we don't want to appropriate the money at that number.
So go ahead.
I was gonna say, is it unreasonable to think then, like, I get that they needed to get the quote to submit it to you originally back in the fall, but is it unreasonable to ask for an updated one, say at the beginning of May, so we know what a more realistic number is as we're ready to approve the budget?
We could make that part of the process from now on, I suppose, right? Just try to go get, the problem is that every time you ask for a quote, that is work for somebody to have to go do, right? So in the end, we're eventually going to buy the vehicle. So I think that that's not asking too much. But that's something that we can certainly look at for all these vehicles as we get close to, we're tweaking this thing the whole time until we vote, right? The entire budget based on a number of things. So
if you leave the 20% in and we buy the truck and it doesn't require the full 20%, does that become like a closed out capital project with a surplus, and then it gets earmarked towards, it can be applied towards a similar type project?
We've been rolling those accounts back into the general fund.
Oh, you
right back into free cash.
Okay, to answer that question.
And based on years past, this is a common practice now. Not every quarter, but a couple times a year, they're going through all the capital plans, and we've been sort of going through them at the council level to make sure we don't have this big, long list of accounts with money in it.
Right.
Your specialty, finding money, and just putting it back into and closing these accounts out.
Other questions on the truck?
So I understand that, and I mean, in practice, it sounds great. We've had situations in the past where a police cruiser didn't cost as much, and the thought was, hey, we've got this extra 15,000 that we're gonna put towards this or that.
Yep.
And especially with a big dump truck like this, you can add a lot more bells and whistles.
Right.
And I think that's my concern is, hey, let's get what we need.
Yep.
So if you're asking for this, I don't expect a truck to come in, if you're asking for a steel bed with a stainless steel bed, because, hey, there was an extra 50,000.
Right.
Be upgraded and upgraded.
That's fair.
That's part of my concern is.
Anything outside of the scope of the capital project needs manager approval, and it's not usually given. The thing this just happened with the pickup truck at the police station. There was extra money, and there was a list of things that they could get. And one of them was like a tow hitch and like a back rack or something. And then there was a couple other things that weren't a truck, It was just, we could put this in the back of the truck. Well, that's not the same. So we got the hitch and the other thing, but the rest of the money got rolled back into I understand what you're saying. And yes, that we're not padding these numbers so that we can buy something else.
Well, I mean, my thought is, like I said, you take that group of money and, if it's 50,000 here, 20,000 here, that adds up to another whole capital project. And there's plenty enough of them on the list.
Right. Yep. And again, if when it comes time to vote on the budget, if 15% is the number that you'd rather go with, or 10, or we get an updated quote, that's no big deal. It's, in all likelihood, we're not going to need the contingency. If we do, we're just going to require additional appropriation.
So if I can, just real quick, I like Connor's thought. Obviously, we've got a narrowed down list from our capital that we're asking for quotes for. I mean, any equipment, in the future, if it's a loader or something like that, or a truck, we should be able to get an updated price pretty quick. They're just gonna pull it up and boom, boom.
Once capital review approves it.
Right.
They can just,
It's again,
Exactly.
we're on the razor's edge here when we're putting these numbers together. It makes sense to, if anything, we can hone in on an exact number before you guys vote. I think that's an excellent idea.
I'm hearing an awful lot of Ralph and Connor agreeing on it.
Crazy. You've been doing that a lot lately. Really? It can't be a full
Tuesday night.
I know.
So the Meadowbrook parking lot was the next,
Yeah, so Greg did bring that up. I'm glad he did too, because I think when I was going through this list, I was like, oh, school will be here so they can talk about that. But yeah, that was the gist of it. Those shaded areas were just going to become parking. So that we don't have anybody parking in the aisles, which if you've ever tried to get out of Meadowbrook at either 8 o'clock in the morning or 3 in the afternoon, it's all over the place. Forget open house. Don't even go. So I know Ralph was bringing up other specific areas in whatever scope that you had seen a while ago. That's not.
Yeah, and like I said, so.
There was a lot of ideas.
There and walking around and seeing it.
There were,
At some point, I would love to do that.
okay, because there was talk, and we were just talking about, they just did the Mountain View modulars, but they just did the Meadowbrook modulars like 6 years ago. And when we were back there, they were talking about, is there a way to, but then the grade happened, and now the sewer line runs out through there. So it's not necessarily an option, but this is just to create more parking on site in those areas that are shaded.
and there's 4 additional areas.
Is that gonna alleviate the?
any other questions on
Green right
the Meadowbrook?
You
I don't
can't see it because it's grass. Yeah.
It may not alleviate the lines. I don't think that's true.
Neither do I, but.
There are too many, especially at Meadowbrook, there are too many people that don't ride the bus. And that's what Gordon, I've been saying that for a while, that this bus thing has become a different, buildings were designed for 6 buses, which you had more room than you could ever dream of. That driveway coming into Meadowbrook, no problem, but nobody takes the bus.
Well,
Whether you have to,
pay for
because
it.
you have to pay for it, or it's just easier to drop kids off and pick them up.
I think that's part of what I was trying to put out there is, I don't think just added parking spots is gonna alleviate these lines and everything. I know at Maple Shade, they basically put in that loop and all, which like Russ said, it works so much better.
Yep.
And so is that something under consideration, some other way to get the traffic to flow through there? Or is it, hey, we're just gonna put in extra parking lots, which you know the parents don't use in the morning?
I didn't.
No.
Is the purpose of the paving the car line? No.
No, but that's what
Highlight
he's asking.
in some of the backup documentation, that was part of the reasoning for doing some of this,
Right.
was to alleviate some of the lines, and I'm like, I don't see that happening.
Yeah, so I think the logic there is you have people doing all sorts of, like, the whole thing's messed up. So if I'm trying to get in there to pick my kid up and the line's already formed, like, you're like 3 wide trying to get down that, and there's nowhere to park. So you have to park somewhere like up on a curb, and now you've just exacerbated the situation, right? So if there's more parking places for people to stop their vehicle in, nobody's in the fire lanes, nobody's in places they're not supposed to be, and that hopefully the circulation is better, in theory.
I was just figuring if we're gonna do a project, to try and calculate it and fix the whole damn thing at once. But again,
Yeah, it's hard to see how you would do that there, but.
Yeah, I mean, short of adding I guess another lane on the outside of which again, we start getting into, there's a conservation area over there and things of that nature, so it's way over. But again, this would certainly add more parking and clean things up a little bit.
maybe one of these where this is the first phase, get more parking, and then, hey, loop out and around like this, it'll make it easier.
Yeah.
Other questions on the Meadowbrook parking lot? Nope. Next one was the sewer I&I project, where I think Ralph was questioning because just said we're gonna do as much as we can, and is that how we normally phrase these, or?
Yeah, so the I&I is a sort of a twofold thing. One, we have to perform I&I work every year in order to keep our NIPD's permit and proof of such work. And we didn't get into the nuts and bolts of it yet, but we will. They have their own capital account that they've been putting money in from sewer returns every year and spending down. Felix is lining manholes and lining pipes, anything to show, to keep our permit up to date. Obviously, it also helps if we're cutting down on the amount of clean water that's getting into the sewer system that then we have to pay to dispose of, far more than we would clean water, obviously.
The description does really kind of just have a list of possibilities.
Yeah, so I don't know if he even has them earmarked until he goes and does them, but he's gonna come up with a list of things, and we have a list of the projects that we've done for the last few years. I think we were talking about it this morning, we just want, and I think everybody wanted to make sure you see the recurring trend where this account doesn't have $330,000 in it because we've put $100,000 in for 3 years and not done anything in 3 years. So I just met with Felix today, so I'll have some updated information for that, but that's work that is ongoing and required by our permit.
Yeah.
So pretty much most of it gets expended every year.
There's only 25,000.
There's only 25,000 in there right now, so it's sort of based on what he thinks he can get done on any given year.
Ralph, yeah.
So didn't we vote, I don't know if it was last year or the year before, that we had allocated money in to do the I&I, and he didn't expend it all? And so didn't we take a vote to, hey, roll that back in? I think there was some left over.
I think there was some left over at some point. We wouldn't have voted, but it,
Somewhere else, or put it with a different project.
Maybe a different project.
But again, so that begs the question, need the 100,000. Obviously, there's a whole list of infiltration issues. Why would the money, I mean, when I saw that, I assumed, okay, all manholes have sealed, everything's done and all, because we're using funds that we set aside specifically for that for something else. And all of a sudden it pops up again, another. So why wouldn't we just keep a fund?
Well, we already are, right? This is the sewer enterprise fund. We're using retained earnings. If it doesn't get used, it just goes back into retained earnings. So.
Or you can always vote to use what's in the INI towards another project, which you wouldn't be able to touch retained earnings between July and October.
Until we're recertified.
Or November, until you're recertified anyway. So at least during that point, you have access to these funds.
Okay.
So, I mean, we'll give you like the list of the projects that we've done the last couple of years for sure. And then maybe he even has an idea of what he's doing this year. Again, I don't mean to be nonchalant about the fact that it's the retained earnings for the sewer department and it gets spent on sewer and then gets put right back into the sewer. But I understand I don't have the information that you requested. So that's sort of the main answer. There's no exact project this year for this yet. But we can give you the one last year and the year before for sure.
Yeah, I don't want to put words in your mouth, Ralph, but I think it's more of a perspective that not that we don't think that it's necessary to do or don't want to allocate the funds for it, but it's just more of like an accountability thing. If we're going to appropriate money for something, we should know what we expect to get out of it, rather than just like, well, we think we might do something.
Well, we're
exactly. Thank you.
We're required by our permit to do something, so we're always going to do something. Like we can't operate a sewer department without doing this work. Like our permit requires it. So we'll always be doing something. What manholes and what area we're gonna, I don't have that information, but we can get it.
I mean, I kind of understand it a little bit. I mean, he does specify the types of things he would do, just not exactly, this is exactly what I'm gonna do.
So
it's in a range of things.
Correct. So before we had the water and sewer administrator, this was under my purview, and I actually got to do smoke testing over off Maple Street, which if you've never seen done was actually pretty cool. But all part of this permit that we have to write a report every year to the state to say how many people got added to the system, meaning new houses, new buildings, and this is all the work we've done in an I&I standpoint, and then we can keep our permit, or else we wouldn't be able to have a wastewater permit.
So Connor, go ahead, Ann.
I think it kind of aligns with what we've tried to do now with paving, rather than just allocating a blanket amount. It's like, how much does it actually cost for the projects that we're thinking of? And then at the end of the year, we can check off and say, yeah, we thought we were going to do these streets, and we did.
Okay.
Are you thinking the town council might want to see a specific list of what's going to be done with that 100,000 for your vote for the budget?
I think it would be helpful, but I think we understand that, like, if manhole 1 gets substituted for manhole 2, that's fine. It's just
that dreaded manhole 1.
I know, but you know.
No, I hear you, and I would say at minimum we'll certainly have these projects planned out so that when he requests this 100,000 next year, that information's already there, right? But we can get that before that shouldn't be a problem.
So this is,
yeah, go ahead.
A lot of these projects may not individually reach the goal of a capital project, but when you combine them all together, you're going to be spending more than.
Yeah, when you wouldn't have somebody come out to do one manhole, that right? It's like laying 1 ton of asphalt. Like you're going to want to do the whole road.
Thank you, Jim.
Yep. I had the DBP compliance system, which I was reading the scope of services, and I was kind of interested that this is to, we'll identify parameters pertinent to DPB formation and chlorine, which East Long Meadow can use to proactively adjust the chlorine feed rate and anticipate and respond to water quality excursions. So does that anticipate us being able to proactively adjust things on the water that's coming from Springfield?
Correct. But the operable words here are consent order. We have to do this or we're going to get fined. This is one of our favorite reports that have to get published and put up on the shelf, or else you get fined. This is Felix did forward me the consent order, which I can send over to you, but, which is still in its draft form until we agree. But, yeah, this is one of those regulatory things from DEP that says, here's how you get into compliance. If you don't, here's your fine.
So Springfield has the same requirements, I assume?
As the generator, I don't know.
Because they're supplying that water to their residents, right?
Correct.
So yes, they have to meet the same.
Well, they have to meet certain standards, certainly, but we're not the purveyor here, right? We're the customer, so they have a whole other list of things that they have.
The state then says every town or municipality that's receiving water from Springfield.
Or from any source.
From any source, you've got to figure out.
Correct.
Got to figure out for yourself. And if you had to take action?
So we just got this draft, well, I'll send it, but this project is in response to that consent order. So we haven't done anything in this yet. We have to draft this report.
And this would actually be studying if you had to take action, and you'd have to actually build something, some kind of plan.
I'm interested to see what the conclusion and or recommendation is from Time Bond. If that's a monitoring program, if that's an actual infrastructure upgrade somewhere in the station at Harkness, I don't know.
Yeah.
Or filter location, each household or something.
Yeah, I mean, let's hope it's not all the way there, but.
I mean, from my vantage.
Basically to fill out for the tie-in bond. For tie-in bond to actually fill out the paperwork and send it to the state to say, hey, here's a program that we think they should follow.
Correct.
Although I think you're going to get some value out of it because they are going to describe what you would need to do if you had to do it.
Right. Yep. Yeah, this is I could feel Felix's frustration when we were talking about this today. It's really been an uphill battle with, Mass DEP, but Springfield Water and Sewer as well, in terms of, the quality of product we're receiving for the amount of money we pay for it.
Yeah.
It's very frustrating.
The only other one did you have a question on the truck that was getting the body replaced or?
Yes.
I had a couple more, yeah. There was the body replacement, again, for a 2013 truck. That truck's in reasonably good enough shape to just replace the body and keep the truck going.
I guess the ultimate question would be if it's only 13 years old, why is the body rusted out?
That's a great question.
Is the body actually rusted out, or is it that it no longer meets the needs the way it was constructed, and hey, this other body would be a better body, a better fit?
Yeah, so they've been upgrading the vehicles that the ones that we've purchased, I think since before COVID, the bodies are the aluminum body, so it doesn't rust. So
aluminum or stainless steel.
Yeah, so that's the point of putting a non-steel body back on this truck, which is still in good shape. The rest of it's not rusted, just the body. I think you also had a question on the water main project, right?
Yes.
So this became a question of how quickly we can get the job done between design and construction, and that as luck would have it, this year may be a little easier because of borrowing. We have to borrow money in August this year for the school anyway, right? And so the timeline of borrowing that early in the year, say instead of December, there's no reason to only do the design and then do the construction in the next fiscal year, because we can get that all done September, out to bid in December, done in the spring. So the design and the build would all happen in fiscal year 27.
So the design isn't going to take more than a year like some other projects have?
No.
Based on tie and bond doing the design and engineering portion of it?
Yeah, and so the reason for that is the water main, there's not much design to it. It doesn't require any grading. You're forcing water through a pipe, so all you really need to do is find a place for that pipe to go.
226,000, there better be a lot of design work.
Well, there are design parameters, obviously, that were required to hit from a regulatory standpoint. But this is a, based on the borrowing time, a project that would get done within the year.
That was all the items.
That's what I, yeah.
I did have a note on the stormwater, the Spade Arden culvert.
Yep.
Which I think, obviously the description was wrong, which I think we'll send you this updated one.
Yeah, I'm thinking if you can send us kind of a updated.
Yeah, Tim's already done most of
Summary
that.
thing.
Yeah.
Rather than try to vote on that tonight, it would be nice to have it cleaned up and
Yeah.
be able to vote on it on Monday.
So the description will now say something along the lines of contingent on grant funding. I was talking to Mark today. I don't think there's any real way that the stormwater account can handle this $1 million bond. However, this is a project that needs to get done. There are some other funding opportunities that we may be able to do in a joint project with the water and sewer divisions, meaning there's a sewer main underneath that culvert that is going to have to either be replaced or relocated, and we might as well do the water while we're in there. So that may be a way to sort of combine this project into something if we don't get a one-stop grant in June. So that description will probably say something along the lines of contingent on grant.
Yeah, so I would suggest send that to us, sometime this week if you're able to, and then we'll make our vote on Monday. Is that all right with you?
Sounds good.
Committee members? So we have to stop at 5:15. Next week, or next Monday, I think my plan would be talk about schools, vote on schools, review capital, vote on capital, and then try to get through revolving funds and enterprise funds. Your updated list contain the Community Preservation Act project? Okay.
Yep.
So that would be our normally last schedule, and we had the if needed for 5/7. I'm thinking we're probably going to need the if needed for 5/7 because we'll probably have a pretty full slate for that meeting. And we really need to just talk about, there's a report that needs to be submitted to town council, anything that we wanted to talk about. But we'll make that decision, keep that 5/7 open because we may very well need it, but we'll make that final determination when we're come to the end on Monday.
When does the town council anticipate beginning your deliberations on this? Like, when would this committee in public report to your?
Yeah, so we will start talking about the budget again our second Tuesday of May.
Okay.
Then,
No, that's a.
but that won't, we missed some timelines, so that won't actually be the public hearing. The public hearing would be on the 26th. So it's up to this committee. I mean, at a council level, I'm sure we'll still talk about the budget that first Tuesday meeting, but if you need more time, I'm sure we could hear the presentation the second.
Well, I think if, I won't be here around for the 526, but if we should be able to get you some kind of report or something for the 512 meeting if we meet on 5/7. So, I mean, it's not going to be very complicated.
So are we permitted to, be so bold to, our recommendation is based on a number of conditions, or, or do we couch them as recommendations? I mean,
Say that again, Russ, I'm not sure what you're.
so I would like to just put out there that I think Kathy mentioned, putting together a committee to look at health insurance. I'd love this town council to look at all the union contracts and look at all the extras that are in there. And so that you have a better understanding of, it's not just a 3% increase, it's 3% plus. Now, what you do with it, who knows? But
So,
just-
yes, I
So
think
can you put
that
those-
would be.
Is it a recommendation or a condition?
Write a little, well, I would say those would be recommendations for the town council to consider versus conditional recommendations. Did somebody saying something? Oh, we got to go. And if you kind of like draft up a little.
I'll try.
I would include that in our formally written report.
Okay.
So it is 5:15. Thank you all. I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right.
Second.
All right. And Kathy, are you a yes?
I'm a yes.
All right. Anna?
Yes.
Yes.
Rich? Yes. Jim, yes. All right, we are adjourned.
And then
Make a motion to adjourn
Second.
town council meeting.
Second.
made and seconded. Any further discussion? Ralph?
Yes.
Marilyn?
Yes.
Anna?
Yes.
And I'm a yes.
Kathy.
Kathy was a yes.
I'm a yes. I'm not in my head.
Okay.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you.
See you Monday.
Thank you.
Yeah.